morning light spilled across the table, washing over the fragments of the past, yellowed clippings, printed photos, and Catherine's folded letter. All of it scattered like puzzle pieces Emma couldn't quite fit together. The mysterious text from the night before still glowed in her phone's memory. If you want to know the truth about Catherine, come to Willow Hill tomorrow. Don't tell anyone. Emma hadn't answered again. But she knew she would go. She also knew she couldn't walk in blind. There were still holes, the kind that whispered something's missing. And if she was going to face Catherine's daughter, she needed to know exactly who Catherine had been before the wedding, before regret and silence had swallowed her whole. By mid-morning, Emma was back at the library. The place had become her confession booth. The same librarian greeted her with a look halfway between curiosity and concern. "Back again, dear?" Emma smiled weakly. "I'm looking for school archives. Ye-books, old student records, 1950s. The woman led her to a side cabinet. "Local schools donated their ye-books years ago. They're fragile, but you can look through them." Emma ran her fingers across the spines. Charleston High 1955, 1956, 1957. The last one caught her eye. She pulled it free carefully, the cover soft from age. The inside smelled of dust and time, the same scent that clung to Catherine's dress. Flipping through pages of black and white smiles, she scanned for the name Whitmore. And there, on a page labeled Senior Portraits, she found her. Catherine Lillian Whitmore. Hair perfectly waved, pearls at her throat, the caption beneath her photo reading, "Poised for Greatness." Emma stared at the image. Catherine looked young and vibrant, yes, but there was already something else behind the eyes. A restlessness. A loneliness pretending to be confidence. She turned the page. And then, halfway down the next column, she froze. Daniel Rowe. His picture was the opposite of Catherine's, a little off-center, a grin slightly crooked. Under his name, Art Club President. Voted most likely to wander. A charcoal sketch of a sailboat had been doodled in the corner beside his portrait, maybe by his own hand. Emma felt something tighten inside her. She flipped through the back of the yearbook, past the senior events, until she found the candid photos, school dances, picnics, football games. And there they were, Catherine and Daniel. Not in the same pose, but close enough to matter. He was sketching something on an easel, she was laughing, looking at him instead of the camera. The caption beneath read, "Spring Art Fair, 1956. Her fingertips brushed the image. The connection was almost electric, a secret captured between glances. Emma's heart raced as she dove deeper into the archives. She searched the Chronicle database again, this time with a new name, Daniel Rowe, Charleston, 1957. At first, nothing. Then, a small notice buried in the local news section, dated just 2 weeks before Catherine's wedding. Local artist Daniel Rowe to exhibit at gallery in Paris. Promising young talent departs for Europe this month. And beneath it, a single black and white photo. Daniel, young and handsome, standing in front of a painting. His expression wasn't joyful, though. It was empty. The same hollow look Catherine had worn in her wedding photo. Emma printed the article and sat there staring at it, heart thudding. Everything suddenly made sense. The timing. The tone of Catherine's letter. The line, "I love someone else. I have loved him quietly, fiercely, and without hope." Daniel. He had been the one. The man she never married. The man she'd written about. And 2 weeks before her wedding, he'd disappeared from town. Had he really left for Paris, or had he been sent away? Emma opened Catherine's letter again, eyes scanning the final lines. "I will walk down that aisle to a man I do not love. My heart belongs elsewhere." Elsewhere. The word pulsed through her like a heartbeat. Her phone buzzed on the table, jolting her back to the present. "James." She hesitated before answering. "Hey," his voice was cautious now, careful. "Can we talk tonight? I don't like where things are heading." Emma's mind spun. The dress, the letter, the yearbook spread open before her like proof of something she couldn't explain. "Tonight," she said finally. "I just have a few things to finish." He sighed. "Please, Em. Don't disappear on me again." I won't, she promised, though they both knew she already had. Emma's next search was for Daniel Rowe, artist, Paris 1957. Most results were dead ends, but one, an art blog about forgotten painters, included a curious entry. Daniel Rowe, 1937, unknown. A brief presence in the Paris art scene in the late 1950s. Last known exhibition, the Whitmore Collection, Charleston, 1957. Whitmore Collection. Catherine's Family. A private exhibition, right before her marriage. Emma's pulse kicked up again. She searched the Chronicle once more, now for Whitmore Collection Exhibition 1957. And there it was, an article with a small photograph. Catherine, standing beside Daniel, his hand resting lightly on her back as they posed in front of one of his paintings. The caption, "Local debutante sponsors local artist's final show before his departure for Europe." Final show. Departure. Final. The words blurred as she read them. Had it been an exhibition, or a goodbye? By the time Emma got home, the world felt strange, colors sharper, air thinner. James was waiting again, pacing the living room. "Where were you?" "The library," she said automatically. He sighed, exasperated. "I can't keep doing this, Emma. Every time I look at you, you're somewhere else. What are you looking for?" She hesitated, the truth balancing on the edge of her tongue. "Answers," she said softly. "To what?" But she couldn't say it. Not yet. Not until she met Margaret. Not until she knew what Catherine had done, and what Daniel's disappearance meant. So she said nothing. James's frustration melted into quiet resignation. "You know, for two people about to get married, we sure spend a lot of time apart." "I know." He studied her face. "You're hiding something." Her throat tightened. "Not everything hidden is wrong." He shook his head. "Maybe not. But secrets destroy trust. And trust is all we have left." He turned away, leaving her alone in the silence. Later that night, Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, the printed clippings spread around her like evidence in an unsolved case. The story was forming, she could feel it. Catherine and Daniel had been in love. Robert had been the safe choice. Something had torn them apart, and whatever that was had never been spoken of again. Until now. Her eyes fell on the art exhibition article again. The name of the gallery curator was listed at the bottom, Charles Eaton, Charleston Museum of Art. A faint footnote in history, but perhaps another door waiting to open. The apartment was silent except for the ticking of the clock. She leaned back, closing her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, something caught her attention, a flash of light across the window. Headlights. A car idled on the street outside. Black, sleek, unfamiliar. She moved closer to the window, peering through the curtain. The car didn't move. Its headlights stayed fixed on her building. A figure sat inside, too far to see clearly, but watching. Her heart started to pound. She reached for her phone, thumb hovering over James's name, then stopped. Who would believe her now? The car's engine roared softly. The lights flicked off. And then, slowly, it drove away into the dark. Emma stood there for a long moment, the reflection of her own frightened face trapped in the glass. Behind her, the dress swayed slightly on its hanger, as if something unseen had brushed against it. And for the first time, she realized Catherine's story wasn't just about love lost, it was about something someone still didn't want found. The next morning, the sky had the kind of blue that pretended everything was fine. Emma stood at her window, hair still damp from the shower, watching clouds drift above the city. On her desk, the clippings about Catherine and Daniel lay where she'd left them, faces frozen mid-smile, mid-secret. She told herself she'd take a day off. One day to breathe. One day to play the role everyone expected. Because today wasn't about ghosts or hidden lovers. Today was her bridal shower. The restaurant was a sunlit blur of pastel decorations and laughter. White roses spilled from glass vases, the same ones her mother had chosen for the wedding. The air smelled of champagne and sugar and something too sweet to swallow. "Emma, you look stunning," her friend Claire squealed, hugging her tightly. "You're glowing." "Am I?" Emma asked, smiling automatically. Her mother appeared with a camera. Of course you are. The bride-to-be always glows. Flash. Laughter. The chorus of congratulations swelled around her. James's mother leaned across the table, bracelets chiming. My dear, I can't tell you how happy we are to welcome you to the family. James has never looked so content. Thank you, Emma murmured, lifting her glass. Content. Such a neat, safe word, a word people used when they couldn't find passion. The conversation washed over her: honeymoon plans, guest lists, housewarming gifts. She nodded, smiled, answered politely. But she felt like she was watching from behind glass, a spectator to her own life. Every toast felt rehearsed. Every compliment landed like a line from a play she hadn't agreed to star in. And every time someone mentioned James, her stomach twisted tighter. Her mother sat beside her, beaming. You have no idea how proud I am. Everything you've worked for, the perfect job, the perfect fiancé, the perfect future. Emma looked down at her plate. Perfect, she repeated quietly. What was that? Nothing. Her mother patted her hand. I know it's stressful right now, but you're doing beautifully. James is such a good man. I know he is, Emma said. The words came out like ash. Her mother continued, unaware. And his family. So generous, so established. You're lucky, sweetheart. You'll have everything you ever wanted. Emma's fork clinked against the plate. Everything you wanted, maybe. The conversation around the table went on, oblivious. But her mother froze, eyes narrowing slightly. What did you say? Emma exhaled. Nothing. Just, I'm tired. Her mother leaned closer, lowering her voice. Emma, this isn't the time for attitude. Everyone's here to celebrate you. Celebrate me or celebrate the image of me? The words slipped out before she could stop them. The table laughter dimmed around her, not completely, but just enough to make the air heavy. Her mother's smile didn't falter, but her grip on Emma's hand tightened. Let's not do this now. Emma looked away. Maybe now is exactly when I should. Her mother's voice hardened. You're not making sense. Maybe not, Emma said, standing. But at least I'm finally starting to feel something real. The room blurred. Laughter returned in patches, polite, cautious. Someone made a joke to ease the tension. Emma muttered an excuse about needing air and slipped out onto the restaurant's patio. Cool wind hit her face, sharp and freeing. She gripped the railing, trying to steady her breathing. Inside, through the glass doors, she could see them all, her friends, her family, her future in-laws. Smiling. Planning. Pretending. It looked perfect from the outside. It always did. Her phone buzzed in her purse. She pulled it out, expecting another photo from her mother or a polite text from James. But it wasn't either of them. A new message. Unknown number again. Willow Hill. 2 p.m. Today. No signature. Emma's heart skipped. She checked the time. 1:18 p.m. She hesitated for all of 5 seconds before grabbing her coat. Where are you going? Her mother called as Emma reached the door. I have to take a call for work. Now? During your shower? It's important. She didn't wait for an answer. The door closed behind her, the echo of clinking glasses fading into silence. By the time her mother stepped outside to look for her 5 minutes later, Emma's car was already gone. The highway stretched ahead, rain still glistening on the asphalt. Emma's fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, her pulse thrumming with a mix of fear and relief. The closer she got to Willow Hill, the more the noise in her mind quieted. It was as if she was driving not toward a place, but toward understanding, toward a truth that had waited decades for someone to come looking. Her phone rang again. James this time. She hesitated, then silenced it. One more lie wouldn't make a difference now. The retirement home sat at the edge of town, surrounded by trees and quiet. The sign out front was faded, Willow Hill Residential Center. Inside, the air smelled of antiseptic and faint lavender. A receptionist greeted her kindly. Can I help you? I'm looking for Margaret Hollis, Emma said. She's expecting me. The woman nodded. Room 12, down the left corridor. Emma walked slowly, heart pounding. She stopped outside room 12. The door was half open, soft light spilling into the hallway. Inside, she saw a woman seated by the window, silver-haired, frail, yet graceful. She was looking at an old photo album spread across her lap. Emma knocked gently. "Mrs. Hollis." The woman looked up, her eyes bright despite her years. "You came." Her voice, the same one from the call. "Yes," Emma said softly. "I found your message." Margaret's gaze fell to the envelope in Emma's hand. "You brought the letter, didn't you?" Emma nodded. "It was in my dress." Margaret's expression flickered. Grief, recognition, something unspoken. "My mother's dress," she whispered. "I knew it would find someone." Emma stepped closer. "You said it belonged to her. I needed to understand." Margaret closed the album gently. "Then you'd better sit down, my dear. Because understanding Catherine Whitmore means learning the truth everyone else tried to bury." Emma sat, hands trembling. The room smelled faintly of roses and dust, the scent of memory. Margaret opened the photo album and turned it toward her. The first picture was the one Emma already knew, Catherine in her wedding gown, smiling that brittle smile. The second was of a man Emma didn't recognize. Dark-haired, handsome, standing beside a half-finished painting. Margaret's fingers lingered on the photo. "That's Daniel Rowe," she said softly. "The man my mother loved." "I found him," Emma whispered. "In the archives." Margaret looked up sharply. "Then you also know what happened to him?" Emma frowned. "He went to Paris." Margaret shook her head. "No, darling. That's what they told everyone." She reached for a second envelope tucked between the pages, yellowed, brittle, sealed with the same faded wax. She placed it in Emma's hand. "My mother wrote more than one letter," she said. "This one was never meant to be found." Emma stared at it, the envelope trembling between her fingers. "What's in it?" she whispered. Margaret met her eyes. "The truth about why Daniel never came back." Willow Hill smelled of rain-soaked earth and old roses. Emma sat in her car for several minutes before she could bring herself to move. Through the windshield, the retirement home looked almost peaceful, a low building surrounded by willows that drooped like weary sentinels. It didn't feel like the place where truths lived. It felt like the place where they came to rest. She gripped the steering wheel tighter. Margaret Hollis. Catherine's daughter. The same name on the estate papers. The same faint, trembling voice that had called her from an unknown number. Now that she was here, Emma wasn't sure she wanted to open the door. But she did. Inside, the halls hummed with the low rhythm of soft music and shuffling footsteps. A nurse smiled and directed her toward room 12. The corridor was long and quiet. She could hear the rain ticking gently against the windows, the occasional murmur of television voices behind half-closed doors. Halfway down, she saw it, a nameplate engraved with Margaret Hollis. Emma hesitated before knocking. Her pulse thudded in her ears. A quiet voice answered. "Come in." She stepped inside. The room was small but warm, floral curtains, framed family photos, a vase of fresh lilies on the windowsill. An elderly woman sat by the window, wrapped in a knitted shawl, reading a worn paperback. Her hair was silver, her eyes sharp beneath the softness of age. When she looked up, her gaze went straight through Emma, assessing, cautious. "Yes?" "Mrs. Hollis." "I am. And you are?" "My name's Emma Chen," she said carefully. I think I might have something that belongs to you." Emma reached into her bag and pulled out the envelope, Catherine's letter, the one she'd found sewn into the lining of the dress. Margaret's eyes widened just slightly, her breath catching. "Where did you get that?" "It was hidden in a wedding dress," Emma said softly. "Your mother's dress." Silence stretched between them. Margaret's fingers twitched, as though resisting the instinct to reach for it. "You bought that dress," she said finally. It wasn't a question. "Yes. At an estate sale." Margaret's gaze dropped to her lap. "I told them to burn everything," she murmured. "Every photograph, every letter, that damn dress." I didn't want it to haunt anyone else. Emma swallowed. It didn't haunt me. It found me. Margaret looked up sharply, eyes narrowing. That's the kind of thing people say before they start digging up graves. I'm not here to hurt you, Emma said quietly. I just need to understand. Your mother wrote that letter before her wedding. It feels like she was trying to warn someone. Maybe even me. Margaret let out a brittle laugh. My mother was always trying to warn someone. She just never managed to save herself. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Rain streaked down the window, blurring the trees outside. Finally, Margaret leaned back in her chair. You're too young to understand, dear. Whatever she wrote in that letter belongs to the past. My mother made her choices. I've made mine. Then why call me? Emma asked gently. Margaret blinked, startled. I didn't, she said. I haven't called anyone in months. Emma froze. But the older woman's brow furrowed. Someone else must have. Perhaps the nurse? No one uses my name for anything anymore. A chill crawled up Emma's spine. I got a call, she said slowly. A woman's voice. She said she was you. She told me to come here. Margaret shook her head. That wasn't me. For a long moment, the only sound was the rain tapping against the glass. Margaret's tone softened slightly. My mother wasn't a saint, you know. She was beautiful, but beauty can be a curse. Everyone expected perfection from her, the perfect wife, the perfect hostess, the perfect woman. She sighed. And she gave them what they wanted. Until it killed her. Emma hesitated. You mean the gas leak? Margaret's lips tightened. That's what the papers said. But not what you believe. Margaret's eyes flicked up, sharp and wary again. What I believe stopped mattering a long time ago. Emma leaned forward. Please. I've already seen the photos. I know about Daniel Rowe. The name landed between them like a match striking dry paper. Margaret went still. Her hands trembled slightly. You've been busy, she said quietly. I'm not trying to invade your life, Emma said quickly. I just need to know the truth. Margaret laughed bitterly. Truth? My dear, truth is the cruelest thing a person can dig for. You think you can handle it, but once you've unearthed it, it never lets you sleep again. I haven't been sleeping anyway. Margaret studied her, really studied her, and something in her expression softened. You remind me of her, she said finally. That same stubborn light in your eyes. Your mother? Yes. The older woman exhaled, as if resigning herself to something she'd fought for too long. Fine. If you're going to go chasing ghosts, you should at least know what you're looking for. She opened the drawer beside her chair and pulled out an old photo album, its leather cover cracked with age. Inside were sepia memories, Catherine as a child, smiling beside a swing set, Catherine on her wedding day, perfect and distant, Catherine holding a baby. Then, one photograph near the back, Catherine and a young man in a studio, laughing, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. Daniel. Margaret's voice was quiet. He was an artist. The only man she ever truly loved. What happened to him? Emma asked. Margaret's gaze lingered on the picture. He left. Or at least, that's what everyone was told. And you don't believe that? Margaret didn't answer. She slid the photograph out, holding it between two trembling fingers. I found this hidden behind a painting when I cleaned out her things. On the back, she wrote 3 words, he never left. Emma's breath caught. What does that mean? I don't know, Margaret said softly. But if you really want to understand my mother, you'll have to go where she began. Where's that? Margaret turned the photo over again, studying the faint handwriting. Charleston, she whispered. The old Whitmore estate. Emma sat frozen, the rain now a steady drumbeat outside. Charleston. The beginning. Her phone buzzed suddenly in her pocket. She glanced down. A text from James. I know what you've been doing. We need... Emma slid the phone face down on the table. I don't know yet. Margaret gave her a sad smile. Be careful, Emma. The past doesn't like to stay buried. And the people guarding it, they never forget. Emma rose slowly, clutching the photograph, her mind spinning. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky again, low and distant, as if warning her that she had already gone too far. She turned toward the door. Behind her, Margaret's voice drifted softly through the room. "If you find out what happened to Daniel, come back and tell me the truth. I've waited my whole life to hear it." Emma nodded, though she wasn't sure she could promise that. As she stepped into the hallway, her phone buzzed again. Another message from James. "If you go to Charleston, don't expect me to follow." She stopped cold, the hallway lights flickering faintly overhead. He knew. And somewhere deep down, she realized, he might not be warning her. He might be threatening her.